Isn't it funny that we do this on the phone now? Hi, everybody. You get to keep eating and enjoying your dessert buns. Connie Willis, who could not be with us tonight, sent a little fond history of the Locus Awards for us to watch while we wrap up eating. The awards themselves will start in about 10, 15 minutes. So without further ado, we'll start up Connie Willis's message. Thank you all for coming.
Hi, everybody. I'm Connie Willis, and I'm really sorry that I cannot be there tonight. I was the MC of the Locus Awards for many, many years. And so Liza asked me if I could give a little history of the Locus Awards to you tonight instead of being there. And so I thought I would. It is a, shall we say, varied history. When Charles N. Brown, who I could never remember to call Charles N. Brown, I always called him Charlie, which he did not like. When he asked me to be the MC, the Locus Awards were just in their infancy. And even worse, they were an orphan. We did not have a home of any kind, and we simply wandered from convention to convention, whoever would take us and whoever would offer us space so that we could give the awards. So it was sort of a slapdash kind of thing. Some years we were at WesterCon, wherever WesterCon was, and other years we were at DragonCon. And it was at DragonCon that I would have to say that we had the most peculiar of all of our Locus Awards banquets. It was tiny. There were maybe 2 tables of nominees and presenters, and we were like very disappointed with the turnout. But then after dinner, a whole bunch of people came in and filled all the seats in the whole room. And then we were really excited because they would be there for the awards themselves. And they were dressed a little strangely. We noticed that the vast majority of them, men and women, were wearing black satin leotards and fishnet stockings and black pageboy wigs. But, you know, I mean, it was a science fiction convention, so, you know. We didn't think anything of it, and we started into the awards, and everything was going very smoothly, and we were feeling very proud of ourselves that there were so many people who were interested in us. Until about halfway through, when one of the people in the audience stood up and said, "When are you guys going to get the hell out of here so that we can have the Betty Page look-alike contest?" And we realized they weren't actually there to see us at all. So we hurried up. And then we slunk out with our tails between our legs and went back to WesterCon for a while. And then bounced from Spokane to Canada to Phoenix to Portland, picking up along the way many of the traditions that people came to associate with the Locus Awards. One of those was the wearing of the Hawaiian shirts, which was an idea that was brought to us by that merry prankster, Ursula Le Guin, who at one of the banquets said, "Wouldn't it be funny if all of us wore Hawaiian shirts in honor of Charlie?" Because Charlie always wore Hawaiian shirts. It was the only thing he ever did wear, except for, I take it back, he also wore tuxedos when he won the Locus Award at the Hugos, and there were many of those. Look, there were many Hugos, so there were many times he wore a tuxedo. I think he also wore a tuxedo when he went to the opera, although I'm not sure. And so we all wore Hawaiian shirts, and we thought that was very funny. And then the next year, everybody came in Hawaiian shirts, and that became a tradition for year after year at the awards. We also decided to do a trivia contest at some point. I don't remember exactly when. And we asked questions that were science fiction and or Hawaii based or Hawaiian shirt based. Questions like what animated Disney science fiction movie is set in Hawaii? The answer being, of course, you know, Lilo and Stitch, things like that. And how big was the first issue of Locus magazine? The answer being 1 single mimeographed page. Which of course was very fun, except that no one in the audience had any idea what a mimeograph machine was. So then we ended up having to ask, what is a mimeograph machine in our next trivia contest. The trivia contest was hugely successful. People were very competitive. One guy even got a royal case of the sulks and said, if I had known there was going to be a quiz, I would have studied. And we're like, why would you have studied? The prize is a banana. And the reason the prize was a banana was that we didn't really have a prize for the trivia contest. It never occurred to us that anyone would care. And so when someone won, they said, what's the prize? And we didn't have one. So then we stole a banana off the breakfast buffet at the hotel. And all of us signed it. And then we gave it to this person, and we signed it in black magic marker. And it was really kind of a cool thing, you know. I mean, there were a lot of writers signing it. And so the guy really was impressed with this award, and he decided to keep it forever, which meant putting it in the freezer where it promptly turned black, obliterating all of the black magic marker names. So the next year, we had to change the prize to a plastic banana, which we could then all sign. And there are still some floating around in science fiction, or maybe on eBay, I don't know. So that was one tradition. And then another tradition was that Gardner Dozois came one year and was a Locus Award winner. And he taught us all to sing Emily Dickinson poems to the tune of The Yellow Rose of Texas and/or Hernando's Hideaway. And you may not be aware of this, but all Emily Dickinson poems can, in fact, be sung to the tune of Yellow Rose of Texas and/or Hernando's Hideaway, because I could not stop for death, and so on. And so the sing-along became a regular part of the banquet too, and that our Locus Awards gradually developed into the most fun award ceremony in science fiction. And Charlie was very proud of that. So now that doesn't mean that there weren't glitches along the way. There were a few glitches. One year, right before the Locus Awards, I got bitten by a bat and didn't think I was going to be able to come, because if you're bitten by a bat and they don't know if it's rabbit or not, you have to endure 6 weeks of extremely painful shots, and you have to have them on exactly the right day from the same doctor. So it didn't look like I was going to be able to come. But luckily, we were able to catch the bat, and it was in fact not rabbit, which was great news, and I was able to come after all. Although I did have to endure, I cannot tell you how many vampire jokes over the next couple of years. And then there was the year where, right before the Locus Awards, I hate to see this as a jinx, but maybe. But right before the awards, I tripped and fell on a cement driveway, and broke my eye socket, and then had to lie for 7 days, completely silent and still, not moving, with a patch over my eye, because I could not get in to see the eye surgeon because he was on vacation in Yellowstone, and I had to then lie there, unable to read, unable to watch TV, unable to do anything except worry about the fact that he was in Yellowstone and that he was likely to get gored by a bison or fall into one of those geyser pools that are really hot, and then all that they find of you is your flip-flops afterwards. And I was convinced that then I was going to have to lie there for the rest of my life, not looking at anything, with a patch over my eye. That was not the case, but I had to endure afterwards any number of jokes about pirates and black patches over their eyes. None of those were totally bad. I think probably the worst thing that happened to me was just a couple years ago when I got the bright idea. I usually talk about the news and tell funny things that are in the news. There has not been anything funny in the news for years, but I would try to find things. And this year, forget it. But I decided to talk about Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina. This was not entirely my fault, because at that point she was selling a candle that was named the It Smells Like My Vagina candle. And she was selling it for some enormous amount of money, and it sold out immediately. And I was just really confused by the rationale, maybe, and also by the logistics of the whole thing. I was just like, no, I won't even go into that. Anyway, I discussed her vagina at length and the candle. And Yeah, and that was probably a mistake. And so this year that will not happen because she's no longer selling that candle at all. That's which is a good thing. However, she is also selling, she is at this point selling, I just checked the website, and she is now selling sweat amplifiers. Very confused about that also. She's selling something called a watermelon bag, which is not a purse, a leather purse in the shape of a watermelon or colored like a watermelon or anything. It's a bag, a leather bag, very expensive leather bag, designed specifically to carry a watermelon around. Very confused by that. And she is also selling something called Viva la Vulva, which I don't even want to go into that. So there would be plenty to talk about Gwyneth if in fact I decided that I wanted to talk about that, but I don't think I better because of what happened last time I talked about it. So anyway, in spite of the glitches and the orphan childhood and Betty Page and the Black Banana, the Locus Awards have been really terrific all these years. They were terrific even when they were very small and unappreciated. Everybody who was there always had a wonderful time. And they still have a wonderful time. And even though they've moved from Seattle, where we were for many years, and are now in Oakland and have changed their format somewhat, it's always fun, and the people are what make it that way. First of all, the people who come, who are terrific, and I say hello to all of you. Sorry I can't be there. And then mostly to Liza Tromby, who has kept for many years the whole thing spinning around and working perfectly in spite of its being really, really complicated. And also all the rest of the cast, the staff of Locus, who work so hard, killing themselves to get everything to come together. And it always does somehow, miraculously. And then also especially to Charlie, who I loved and who was wonderful. It was his idea to come up with the Locus Awards. That was a wonderful idea. His idea to come up with the Locus Awards ceremony, that was a wonderful idea. He was a terrific person. It is true that from time to time I would threaten to strap him to the roof of my car, and I would yell at him and say, "I am not your staff, Charlie. I don't work for you," and other assorted things. But the truth is, he was a wonderful friend and a wonderful person, and Locus exists, and the Locus Awards exist totally because of him and his vision for science fiction. He wanted a paper that would represent the field and that would have all the news, all the gossip, and everybody would know everything about the field. And he succeeded beyond his wildest dreams, from a one-page mimeograph sheet to, and I'm still not going to tell you what a mimeograph machine is, all the way to the slick, beautiful magazine that it is today and the online presence that it is today. I wish Charlie were here. I wish I were there, and I wish all of you a wonderful time tonight. I know you'll have a great time because it's the Locus Awards, and the Locus Awards are always great. Thank you. See you later.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay. I think we should just do it, you guys. Shall we? Let's do it. Okay. Thank you all for coming out tonight for the Locus Awards. We are so pleased to be here with you, celebrating story and art and creativity and community, and this amazing science fiction and fantasy and horror space that we find ourselves in. I'm going to start with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the Locus Science Fiction Foundation offices in Oakland, California, are situated on the unceded traditional homelands of the people of the Muwekma Ohlone tribe. With genuine respect and support, Locus recognizes that the indigenous peoples are the original stewards of this land and valued members of our community. We are thankful for the opportunity to honor them and are eternally grateful to their ancestors and descendants' commitment to protecting this land. to get back to where I was. Why did I use a phone? Okay. And so now I'm going to introduce our MC for the evening. If Jane Austen and Jules Verne had a tea party and invited a glitter cannon, Gail Garriger would probably be the one hosting. Gail writes books that are, in her words, hugs, though often those hugs come occasionally well-dressed werewolves or dirigibles or vampires. Her series include The Parasol Protectorate, Custard Protocol, San Andreas Shifters, and the delightfully queer Tinkered Star Song under G.L. Garriger. She's also the author of The Heroine's Journey, a nonfiction favorite among those who like their story structure served with insight and wit. With over 1 million copies in print, dozens of bestsellers, and fans around the world, she's won awards from the American Library Association, Elbacan, the Steampunk Chronicle, to name a few. And Solace, her debut, still shows up on best of lists, like it just stepped out of a parasol-fueled time machine. She loves shoes, cephalopods, and tea, and we love her. Give a very warm Locus welcome to your MC for the evening, Gail Garriger.
Only one person at a time on those stairs. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 2025 Locus Awards, where the speculation is celebrated, the fabulous is formal wear optional, and the only thing more beloved than a good book is a good book with dragons, time travel, or emotionally fraught space captains, and if we're lucky, all three. I'm Gail Garriger, author of excessively mannered fiction and the owner of way too many teacups. No, really. And I'm thrilled to kick off this circus of literary celebration. Now, the Locus Awards have been going strong since 1971, which means they've lasted longer than disco and most publishing trends, and they're older than Google and me. Unlike many awards, this one is entirely voted on by readers, which means it is chaotic good, highly unpredictable, and probably wearing a very silly hat. Much like many of my favorite fictional characters. To the finalists, hooray! You've written books that made us cry, short stories that haunted our dreams, and essays that caused us to yell, yes, on public transport, to the embarrassment of all. Whether this is your first nomination or your 10th, you are proof that speculative fiction continues to be gloriously alive and gloriously odd. And we're so lucky that you're writing. Thank you. Please continue to do so. And to the readers who voted, you glorious bookish humans with unparalleled taste. You're the reason this whole show exists. We are your nerdy, wordy circus performers, and we do this for you. You read with passion, you vote with gusto, and you are the reason this genre is what it is, a rebellious act of imagination. Thank you for making it all possible. Tonight is about joy. It is about stories. It is about what binds us together as a community, our shared love of improbable magic, improbable science, and improbably attractive vampires. To everyone here tonight, whether in ridiculous shoes or fuzzy slippers, thank you for showing up for speculative fiction. Thank you for keeping the magic alive. And now, let's begin. Everybody.
You gotta intro me real quick.
All right, I have to tell you who's coming next. Right, that's what I do. I'm the mistress of ceremonies. Right, now, to present the Locus Award for the Best Illustrated Art Book is my best friend of way too many years, and senior editor and art director, Francesca Myman.
Hello, I am Francesca, and I'm presenting the Locus Award for Best Illustrated and Art Book. And I've said this for the last 2 years, but it's still very relevant that in the world of AI, making incursions upon all of our creative work, it is my deepest honor and pleasure to be able to introduce this award that honors the work of human creators and their communications. So the finalists are...
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Illustrated and Art Book are The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle, art by Tom Kidd; Jonathan Strange and Mr. Neural by Susanna Clark, illustrated by Charles Vess; The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, art by Nico Delort; R.U.R., the Karel Čapek Classic by Katerina Kupova, translated by Julie Novakova; Hell, Ink, and Water, the art of Mike Mignola, edited by Scott Dunbier, art by Mike Mignola; Supernatural Tales from Japan by Lefkadio Hearn and Ye Theodora Ozaki, art by Sakyu; Undying Tales, Mythologies of Species on the Verge of Extinction by Stephanie Law; Dungeons & Dragons, Worlds and Realms by Adam Lee; Frank Frazetta, An Artist's Tribute, edited by Marissa Lewis; Stone of Farewell by Tad Williams, art by Donato Giancola.
So much. That's the preternaturally calm and wonderful voice of Amelia Beamer, who many of you may know, a Locusite. All right, and the winner of the Locus Award for Best Illustrated and Art Book is The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle, with art by Tom Kidd, published by Suntop. Peter, will you kindly come to the stage? We would love to have some words from you. Peter is here. Thank you. Can you stay? Mm-hmm. Might take a little while to navigate the tables. Thank you. I know I'm very short. Just going to navigate the secret staircase. There we go.
I'm more than astonished to be here because I remember being not somewhere in my 20s, making up The Last Unicorn. And I was spending the afternoon with my best friend. We shared a cottage up in New England. He was a painter. And he came in one day, looked over my shoulder and said, the unicorn lived in a lilac wood, and she lived all alone. What's a lilac wood? And I remember turning around and snapping, how the fuck do I know? Go paint. And he laughed and went off and painted. And maybe the evening we grabbed something to eat out of the refrigerator. And then we played our guitars all night because both of us knew we were never going to die. I do remember that feeling. I do remember that summer. And oh yeah, I did finally finish The Last Unicorn. It took me a while to realize that early on in my career, I've been stuck with that book. People will know that book who don't know anything I ever wrote, and that's the way it is. And that's the way it has been ever since. All I can do at this stage of my career is just be grateful. Imagine if we'd never had that summer, if we'd never been doing that instead of just playing our guitars. All I can do is be grateful. Thank you.
And now we will also have a video acceptance speech from the artist who was responsible for the illustrations for The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle, and that is artist Tom Kidd.
Thank you. It's as though the celebrated luminaries I see on the trolley car of fame, the one that usually goes rolling past me as I applaud them, have slowed down and warmly welcomed me aboard. In 1959, a 4-year-old me wandered into a mysterious British forest where I'd find mythology. Walking was relatively new to me, but I'd already used it for an unhealthy amount of mischief. After which, I always had bites and scratches from unknown animals and plants. Worst of all were the stinging nettles. Neighbors often had to lead me home. This day, a creature came galloping to me like a playful puppy. It had feet like a goat, a lion-like strip of mane, a long whipping tail, and the fearless demeanor of a fawn. I'd never seen a pony before, but this must be that. The single spiraling horn in his forehead seemed wrong, though. Molly, our next-door neighbor, saw me at the edge of the woodland, took me by the hand, and asked, "My naughty little Yankee tyke, what have you been about?" I told her what I'd seen, and she barked out a cackle and said I'd seen a unicorn. She then took me home and told Mom my story. They both laughed. I'd entertained them. This was a new idea and a mission I dedicated myself to for Mom's remaining 16 years. Hearing of my mom's death, Molly flew with a friend to America to console Dad. Upon seeing me, Molly exclaimed, arms extended, "It's the little boy who saw the unicorn," and embraced me. 48 years later, I was illustrating The Last Unicorn. The squiggly line of my life had come full circle. Thank you to the people who nominated and voted for me, and the Locus staff for their reporting on and love of the genre, Paul Suntep's dedication to quality shows in his exquisite illustrated editions, and Rebecca Dornsife was the consummate guide one would wish for an art director. Thank you both for your kindness and professionalism. For artists burdened by doubt and who repeatedly try and fail, I hope you find a spouse like my Andrea, who maintains confidence in and supports me on my darkest days. Thank you, lovely Lenore. This honor would not be possible without Peter S. Beagle, enduring classic, The Last Unicorn. Thank you, Mr. Beagle.
And now, to announce the winner of the Locus Award for Best Artist is our own featured local artist, Stephanie Law.
Hello, I am Stephanie Law, and I'm presenting the Locus Award for Best Artist. The finalists are...
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Artist are Brahm, Ravina Kai, Julie Dillon, Kathleen Jennings, Abigail Larson, John Picasso, Sean Tan, Charles Vess, Michael Whalen, Alyssa Winans.
And the winner for the Locus Award for Best Artist is Charles Vess.
Well met, everyone. So here we are again, joined together in celebration of the most essential magazine being published for and about the SF, horror, and fantasy genres. Everything you need to know in one concise, beautifully designed package. And it looks like I've won one of this year's awards. I'm most grateful for being accepted as part of this vibrant community, living as I do in the middle of an admittedly beautiful landscape, but one where genre fans are few and far between. It's very gratifying to have my work acknowledged in this way. Of course, everyone on this list deserves this same award, but this year at least, I'm the lucky one. Thank you so much, and see you soon.
And now, to present the Locus Award for Best Nonfiction, please welcome Audrey T. Williams.
Hello, I'm Audrey, and I'm presenting the Locus Award for Best Nonfiction. The finalists are...
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Nonfiction are Afro-Centered Futurisms in Our Speculative Fiction, edited by Eugen Bacon. This is not a science fiction textbook, edited by Mark Bold and Stephen Shaviro. Speculative Whiteness, Science Fiction and the Alt-Right, by Jordan S. Carroll. The Book Blinders, by John Clute. Urban Fantasy, Exploring Modernity Through Magic, by Stefan Ekman. Capitalism, A Horror Story, by John Greenaway. Laozi's Tao Te Ching, by Lao Zi, translated by Ken Liu. Track Changes, by Abigail Nussbaum. A History of Fans.
Star Trek, open his channel.
Yes, and Star Trek Open a Channel by Nana Visitor. And the winner of the Locus Award for Best Nonfiction is Afro-Centered Futurisms in Our Speculative Fiction, edited by Eugen Bacon. Woo! So Eugen could not be here. Let's see. Eugen couldn't make it to the awards, but sent along this message for me to read to you all. I would like to thank Dr. Amy Martin, Acquisitions Editor, Literary Studies at Bloomsbury Academic, for taking a chance on this different kind of book. Thank you to Suyi Okunbawa, who wrote the introduction. Thank you to featured authors, Eileen Mweze Nyonsenga, Cheryl S. Ntumi, Dilman Dilla, Noreen Dorman, Nuzo Ono, Shingai Ninjira Kagunda, Stephen Embleton, Toby Ugandaran, and Zan Van Ruyen for caring about this book and the care they took in their chapters. And thank you to all readers for giving this book a good go.
And now, to present the Locus Award for Best Editor is Locus Associate Publisher Bobby Johnson.
Not kidding about the stairs. Hi, I'm Bobby Johnson, and I'm presenting the Locus Award for Best Editor. I haven't been bitten by a rat. I've not been melted down to my flip-flops, but I have edited a few short stories in my time, and from some previous Locus Award winners, and editing is something that every writer should appreciate, even if they sometimes they don't. So without much ado, the finalists are...
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Editor are Neil Clark, Ellen Datlow, Diana Foe, Dave Ring, Jonathan Strawn, Lynn M. Thomas and Michael Damian Thomas, Cherie Renee Thomas, E. Catherine Tobler, Wendy N. Wagner, Fran Wild, and Julian Yap.
Okay, so the winner of the Locus Award for Best Editor is Neil Clark. Congratulations, Neil.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I can't be there, but rest assured I'm watching and screaming online right now. I'd like to thank Locus and the Locus voters for this honor, as well as our authors, translators, my family, and the entire Clarksworld team. If you were here last year, you met Hoover the Chipmunk. I'm grateful for this opportunity to provide equal time to Tiny Tina, my squirrel friend, who provided entertainment while I worked on this speech. Tina and I hope you have a wonderful time this evening. Oh, and Tina says you should subscribe to your favorite magazines. In the interest of transparency, she gets a commission in sunflower seeds. Thanks again.
Ooh. And now, to present the Locus Award for Best Publisher is award-winning author and Locus Senior Editor Melody Pratt.
Hello, everyone. I am Melody, better known by my byline, Tim Pratt. Probably not that well known, though. Publishers are very important to the field and to authors because they give us money. The nominees for Best Publisher are...
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Publisher are Angry Robot, Daw, Erewhon, Golance, Neon Hemlock, Orbit, Small Beer Press, Solaris, Subterranean Press, Tachyon.
Several of them have given me money. And the winning publisher for the Locus Award this year is Subterranean Press. we not have a video? Thought we had a video. Oh, sorry. Woefully unprepared. Why would Bill not send a video? All right. And I told everybody, oh, I've done this before, it's fine, don't worry about it. This is from Bill Schaefer of Subterranean Press. Thank you. I am delighted that Subpress has snagged Locus's Best Publisher Award this year. 2025 marks 30 years that Tim Holt and I have been mining in these genres. It feels like yesterday that we were scrounging for boxes, shredding paper for packing material, and using cartons of our early titles as furniture. We've come a long way in those 3 decades. Today, we're a team of 8 plus essential freelancers in a 2,000 square foot warehouse instead of an apartment in which running a business probably violated an alarming number of local ordinances. My wife, Gretchen, has shown an abundance of love, support, and tolerance every step of the way as the company has grown, and I've wandered the house with my nose in some SF or fantasy novel. I'm indebted to a lot of folks who have worked here, past and present. For instance, the invaluable Geraldine Lance, who worked her way up through the shipping crew and now serves as COO and is also in charge of our lettered editions. She wanted to include a potato with every lettered copy of Andy Weir's The Martian. For good or ill, I took a hammer to that spasm of inspiration. Kyle Brandon and Allison Young are responsible for keeping books moving through the production pipeline and expertly wrangle our freelancers. Our shipping staff, Carrie, Emmy, and Chandler, spot flaws I'd miss and keep a steady flow of reading material to the loyal customers. We small presses occupy a unique niche in publishing in which expensive limited editions sit side by side with original titles that are labors of love, not profit. Some of our brethren include Earthling Publications, Levidian, Conversation Tree, Curious King, Grim Oak, and Centipede Press, who outshines us all with their design, art, and devotion to classic and overlooked works. They all deserve your patronage, as they too keep the edges of the genre we love alive. I started this with a thank you, and I'll end it with one too, to everyone from authors and artists to customers that have been supportive as hell for 3 decades. Thank you for your enthusiasm and trust. Without that, I'd probably have had to seek legitimate employment.
And now, to present the Locus Award for Best Magazine, please welcome back to the stage Locus Editor-in-Chief Liza Tromby.
Like a little traffic jam on the stairway every time. So magazines are the sandbox for all this incredible imagination that we get to see, whether we enjoy them online or in print, and I, of course, am wholly in favor of everyone subscribing to everything they can. And this year's finalists.
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Magazine are Asimov's Beneath Ceaseless Skies, Clarkesworld, Faya, Correo, Light Speed, Reactor, Strange Horizons, The Deadlands, Uncanny Magazine.
And the winner of the Locus Award for Best Magazine for 2025 is Clarkesworld.
Wow. I guess I really should have booked that overpriced flight so I could be there to celebrate with all of you. But if I was, you wouldn't get to spend all this time with my little friends, and I know that's what all this is really about. So here's Hoover, who is busy stuffing his face with all the seeds Tina just earned from a new subscriber. We're so very flattered to win in this category, and I appreciate the encouragement. Extra sunflower seeds for all the little critters this weekend. Thank you so much.
Now I'd like to introduce one of our guests of honor this year. Tochi Onyebuchi is one of those writers who makes the rest of us think maybe we should be working a little harder. He's the author of Goliath, a novel as lyrical as it is shattering, You may also know him from Riot Baby, a finalist for so many awards, and a winner of several, including the World Fantasy Award, the Ignite Award, and the Ignite Award for Best Novella. And that's not even getting into Beast Made of Night and the War Girls series, or his powerful nonfiction like Skin Folk, or his essays in the New York Times and on NPR. He's been published in Best American Science Fiction and Fantasy, Year's Best Science Fiction, and basically everywhere we all dream of being published. He holds degrees from Yale, Columbia Law, NYU Tisch, and Sciences Po in Paris. Because why stop at one impressive thing when you can have 5? Let's give a warm welcome to Tochi. We're so pleased that he can be here with us tonight.
I might be blushing a little bit. No, it's really more than anything else just the Nigerian impulse to collect rather than to choose. We do this with everything, food, degrees, professions, so that's where that comes from. Often when asked to speak, I'll blank. Unprompted, I'm a fount of opinions on Elden Ring, on credit default swaps, on who would win in a fight between 100 men and one gorilla. Hell, I'll talk your ear off about Sleep Token and their latest album. I actually almost did earlier today. But if there's a lectern involved or the words prepared remarks, well, there's a cat somewhere in here walking around with a stolen tongue. But I have been thinking a lot. Call it the curse of sentience. So maybe I can get away with thinking out loud for a little bit about genre fiction, about writing, about the world, and about our many worlds. Because that's what it's felt like for at least a decade now. Instead of any shared reality, we all occupy our own strand in the multiverse. There are no more large-scale musical trends, everything whittled down to hyper-personalized playlists. Water cooler TV is naught but a pile of ashes in King's Landing. News reports will tell you that all of Los Angeles is on fire, yet friends in the area answer my phone calls at brunch or having miraculously just found parking. Reality isn't so much divided as it is smashed into tiny, tiny pieces, each one an island with a population of 1. And a part of me wonders if our literature has gotten smaller as a result, or maybe this smallness, if indeed that is what it is, may have played a part. In my journey as a writer, I'd say a canon event was reading The Count of Monte Cristo for the first time. All that swashbuckling, the false identities, the deliciously convoluted revenge plot, the sparkling humanity glittering throughout, it was rapture. And discovering that Alexandre Dumas was the same color as me was greater validation for my literary efforts than anything an English teacher could have told me. That's what I wanted to write, and Dumas, being who he was and what he was, seemed to say that yes, I was right to want that. I returned to that moment, reading that book when the spark was lit, many times over during those conversations that have erupted within the past decade over the issue of representation. The mandate to infuse our popular literature with a diversity of racial representation, of gender representation, of religious representation, that mandate bore in its DNA a glowing nobility. It was a moral mandate. There is so much experience out there. Let those who've lived it tell their stories. And it was glorious. Until you looked up from the book you were reading and noticed who was sitting at which lunch tables. Black writers writing gloriously about Black people, queer writers writing gloriously about their queerness, Muslims writing gloriously into and through their religion, dozens and dozens, hundreds of gloriously realized realities crafted expertly for our readerly pleasure. And yes, we readers could load our plates with delicacies from all over the world, but in that feast, it can be easy to miss the fact that so many of those dishes were made in isolation. Local recipes made by craftspeople engaged only with their own corner of the globe. We worried about appropriation. Why should I try to cook the food of another people's? If I post a picture of my jollof rice, they'll drag me on social media. And besides, the Nigerians do it just fine. But I think something is lost when we cut ourselves off like this. We call it writing the other and turn what could have been an adventure into a series of duties to be undertaken with the sternest of expressions and the noblest of intentions. Getting it wrong, so to speak, brings visions of apocalypse. We're perpetrating horrid stereotypes, we're pouring venom into the cultural ether. What we do, what we write, people will die because of it. But if these things are true, then they are true with every tweet, with every skeet, with every Instagram caption, with every conversation we ever have. Fear of getting it wrong keeps us from looking out our window past our front yard and seeing, engaging with this beautiful, tormenting world we share with billions upon billions of others. Fear of getting it wrong stifles the imagination. It stops the pen. It kills the story. Now, far be it from me to start talking about art and obligation as though writing the other were a mandate, but I do see something of an antidote in it. An act of bridge building that unites one island with another and those two with yet another. A writing that engages with the world. It is so powerful, so necessary, and so powerfully, so necessarily political. A book won't end Russia's crimes against Ukraine, and no piece of art can deflect a missile aimed at Tehran or Tel Aviv. But what it can do is offer us a vision so that when someone says free Palestine, we have already seen in a novel, in a short story, in a song, what that might look like. There's a version of writing the other that's animated by fear and solemnity. But there's another version animated by love and by adventure. We mustn't forget that revolution can be fun, that perhaps it's supposed to be. So build the bridge. And once that's done, head over to that other island and practice a few of their recipes. Our hearts and our stomachs will thank you. You're not done with me yet. Hello, my name is Tochi Onyebuchi, and I'm presenting the Locus Award for Best Collection. I won't say anything else because you've had to be subjected to my word vomit just now. So I will just say that the finalists are...
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Collection are Not a Speck of Light by Laird Barron, Weird Black Girls by Elwyn Cotman, The History of the World Begins in Ice by Kate Elliott, Jamaica Ginger and Other Concoctions by Nalo Hopkinson, Kindling by Kathleen Jennings, You Like It Darker by Stephen King, Lake of Souls by Anne Leckie, Buried Deep and Other Stories by Naomi Novik, Power to Yield and Other Stories by Bogi Takosh, Convergence Problems by Wole Talabi.
And the winner of the Locus Award for Best Collection is Lake of Souls by Anne Leckie.
The stories in Lake of Souls represent so much of my writing career, and it's incredibly gratifying to find that other people like them. Of course, this collection, like everything else I've published, wouldn't have happened without the help of many wonderful and talented people. And I would be here forever listing all the amazing editors of short fiction venues, all the workshop classmates and critique partners, all the friends and family members who helped me and supported me when I began writing in earnest. Certainly, Lake of Souls wouldn't exist as a book without my editors, Priyanka Krishnan and Breet Veed at Orbit, or without my awesome agent, Seth Fishman. But, and I find myself saying this a lot, but it's just the truth, I'm most grateful to you, to my readers. Writing can sometimes feel like shouting into a void. You think and you work and you send stories out and maybe people read them or maybe they don't. So those moments when you do get some indication that someone read your story, or even better, that they liked it, it's just the most epically amazing experience ever. Thank you very, very much.
And now, to present the Locus Award for Best Anthology, a favorite category of mine, is Locus reviewer and board member Gary K. Wolf.
It's my job to present the Locus Award for Best Anthology, and I love anthologies. It's how I learned how to read science fiction. And as a critic, I realized that if you're disappointed in a single author collection, you can skip ahead a couple of stories and you think, it's the same author, but it's a different story. If you try to skip a couple of chapters ahead in a novel, you're thinking, it's the same author and now I don't know what's going on. With an anthology, it's a new author every time. It's almost impossible to be completely disappointed by an anthology. So here are the nominees for Best Anthology this year.
Finalists for the Locus Award for Best Anthology are The Inhumans and Other Stories, a selection of Bengali science fiction edited by Bodhisattva Chattopadhyay. The Best Science Fiction of the Year, Volume 8, edited by Neil Clark. We Mostly Come Out at Night, edited by Rob Costello. Deep Dream, science fiction exploring the future of art, edited by Indra Pramit Das. The Black Girl Survives in this one, edited by Desiree S. Evans and Ceresia J. Fennell. Northern Nights, edited by Michael Kelly. Egypt Plus 100, edited by Ahmed Naji. The Crawling Moon, edited by Dave Ring. New Adventures in Space Opera, edited by Jonathan Strawn. Time Travelers, an anthology of Palestinian speculative fiction, edited by Sonia Sulaiman.
And the Locus Award for Best Anthology goes to The Black Girl Survives in this one, edited by Desiree Evans and Ceresia J. Fennell.
I am so honored to have won this award, to be the co-editor of The Black Girl Survives in this one, and to have contributed a story, and now for it to be an award winner is chef's kiss. I want to go ahead and thank everyone that has helped put this wonderful project together, because without all of the amazing contributors, we would not have the anthology, The Black Girl Survives in this one. So thank you so much. Thank you to my co-editor, Desiree S. Evans, for being a co-partner on this. It's been a fantastic time, and look at us now, winning awards. And thank you so much to our publishing team, all of the folks at Flatiron that helped produce this, and of course, to our wonderful agents at the time who helped sell this project, and to our agents now who are championing us forward with love and support. Huge, huge, huge thank you to my family. And of course, lastly, thank you to all of the readers. We would not be at this very moment without you. Thank you for believing in Black horror, specifically Black horror that centers Black girls. Thank you so much, and congrats to all of the other winners tonight.
Wow, what an incredible honor. Thank you so much to Locus, to the voters, and to this amazing community of readers, writers, and dreamers. A special thank you to our brilliant team at Flatiron Books, to our agents, and to our families for their unwavering support, and to our phenomenal contributors. Thank you for pouring your magic into these pages. It was a true privilege to hold space for your voices. This anthology was born from a dream, two Black women who grew up loving horror and longed to see ourselves reflected in its expansive storytelling. Thank you for embracing our dream and for taking this journey with us. To all the future Black final girls, we see you. Let's keep writing toward this future together. Thank you.
Okay, we are about to give the Locus Special Award, but before I do it, Connie brought up that we used to have a lot of fun traditions, and there was that whole COVID thing and everything was online, and we lost some of them. But I'm going to bring one back right now because recently Gary, come here. Gary wrote his 400th column for Locus. Okay. And I should probably have gotten him like an etched cube or a fancy pen or something, but we're Locus. And so I'm going to give Gary a banana for Gary on your 400th, and signed by all kinds of people that are here. And if anybody wanted to sign it and didn't get a chance, you can tackle Gary later for it. But here's your banana. I don't know if you have anything to say about 400 columns.
Thank you. 400 columns is something I need an intervention, I guess. I'm going to put this straight in the freezer.
Okay, you do. No, you stay here still. Okay. So the special award, so we've been doing this award thing for a while, and we kind of realized, as have other awards, that the categories, fictions, the science fiction, fantasy, short story, all this stuff is great, but there's so much else going on in this community that deserves recognition and support. And so I'm not sure exactly how many years ago. We've been doing it for a while. I want to say around 10, but I'm not 100% sure. 8 to 10 years. We started giving what we call the Locus Special Award because we're not good at naming stuff. And it's for people who have just shown special effort to develop community, create welcoming spaces, build inclusivity, and just do things that are above and beyond for our community. And so, Gary, we're going to announce who gets this year's special award for me.
Yes. The Locus Special Award this year, 2025, goes to the Ignite Awards. And here is some words from, I think it's great. There's an award for awards.
I know.
It's about time. Yes. All right. Here's Locus Senior Editor Arlie Sorg with a message about the Ignites.
Hello. I'm Arlie Sorg. That's Baozi. There are many things that you might not know if they don't involve you personally. For example, you've probably heard of Octavia E. Butler, who died in 2006. Her book Pattern Master was published in 1976, and novel Fledgling came out in 2005. She had novels coming out across the decades between. Beyond genre circles, she was given a MacArthur Genius Grant and received a Lifetime Achievement Award from PEN American. Despite the recognition she receives now, despite putting out stunning title after stunning title, she was never given a World Fantasy Award of any kind. More surprisingly, she was never given the award which is arguably the most prestigious award in genre, a Hugo Award for Best Novel. In fact, she was never even nominated. But check it out. Butler is not the only author of color whose work seems to have been overlooked by certain genre awards. She's just among the most famous. Well, let's face it. Every year, someone will feel like their favorite author is being overlooked. Awards by nature go to a handful of people. There are far more writers who haven't received an award than there are those who have. That said, if you look more carefully, if you sift through the records of our genre awards, you'll make interesting discoveries. Well, for example, way back in 1953, the Hugo Award for Best Novel went to Alfred Bester. Literally 70 years later, we're talking about 7 decades. The Hugo Award for Best Novel has gone to only one Black author, N.K. Jemisin, and went once to Cixin Liu and Ken Liu. Until recently, you could count on one hand the number of authors of color who were even nominated. Other major genre awards historically were only marginally more inclusive. Fun times. Don't get me wrong. This isn't to just suggest that any particular individual wasn't deserving of an award, but it is to say that when you spend 70 years recognizing so few authors of color in the most prestigious category, something isn't working the way it should. This isn't the only eyebrow-raising bit of information I've found, but don't just take my word for it. Go look at the histories of genre awards and see what you find. Go see for yourself. The good news is, I'm not the only one who noticed that a lot of folks are missing from various systems of recognition in genre. I'm not the only one who said, wait a minute, there are excellent works out there as well as amazing creators who are not getting the flowers they deserve. I'm not the only person who saw that this isn't about any specific year or any specific title. It's about what's been happening over a long span of time. And what seems to continue happening. But while I was complaining with friends and not doing much about it, someone else decided to actually do something positive. Someone got up and put in a tremendous amount of work, and the Ignite Awards were born. Running since 2020, the Ignites seek to celebrate the vibrancy and diversity of the current and future landscapes of science fiction, fantasy, and horror by recognizing incredible feats in storytelling and outstanding efforts toward inclusivity of the genre. Making things happen in genre spaces is often fraught, thankless, and even opens you up to vitriol and spite. And yet so many people work hard to make so many amazing things happen. The Ignite Awards are truly special. And the individuals who make them happen are doing extraordinary work for genre and for creatives working in genre. The Locus Special Award for 2025, celebrating excellence in genre, goes to the Ignite Awards.
We are your friendly neighborhood. I did say it last time. This is take 2 of the acceptance speech. We did a re-recording because we couldn't remember if we said the Ignite Awards in the original one. And so here I have now said it twice. Good job, us. We are the administrators of the Ignite Awards. And thank you all for this honor. This is the first nomination. It's very strange to be getting an award for running an award. Thank you for everybody who voted for that. Especially, I think it's really important for most award series, some at least, to acknowledge community work that gets done. That makes kind of the speculative fiction community what it is. And so I'm glad we get to be part of that. This started out as kind of a grumpy spite project. And we are delighted that it has grown into something that means so much to people. Susan.
Thank you very much. We are grumpy and thankful. Here I have a list of people and organizations that we want to thank. Thank you to Locus for this honor. Also, thank you to everyone who has supported the awards and also everyone who has assisted us with administration. And that includes any kind of assistance, such as boosting or cheering or being excited. And also, a very big thank you to Ebony, Brent, and Marissa for helping us with administration. It's really fun doing the awards and watching everybody be excited every year. I'm the lucky one who gets to read everyone's happy emails, so I didn't really need an award. The happy emails are good enough, but thank you for this. I will take it and keep it. I hope you're having a nice award ceremony. That's all from me.
This actually went much better than the first take. So thank you all again. This being
so grumpy.
21st in the future, voting for the 2025 Ignite Awards is now open and it's free and anybody can do it. Go online. I'm sure somebody will send you a link somewhere. And that's it. Have a good night.
Okay, I'm getting used to it up here. I'm going to introduce our other guest of honor. He's a very special person. Sarah Gailey is the kind of writer who seems to have cracked the code for doing everything. Novels, comics, essays, short stories, you name it. They've not only done it, they've crushed it. They're a Hugo Award winner, a multiple-time finalist for Hugo, Nebulas, and Locus Awards. Their work's been translated into 7 languages, so global domination is well underway. You probably know them from their best-selling debut novel, Magic for Liars, or their deliciously unsettling Just Like Home. Or maybe you've seen their brilliant comic series, Know Your Station with Boom Studio, or maybe you've read one of their razor-sharp essays in The Atlantic, Vice, Mashable, or Tor.com. And immediately wished you had written it yourself. Whatever the format, Gailey's work is smart, fierce, funny, and often a little bit twisted, in the best possible way, of course. We're thrilled to have them here with us tonight. Please join me in welcoming guest of honor, Sarah Gailey.
Hello, friends. I'm so thrilled to be here with you tonight, celebrating some of the most incredible luminaries of our field, some of the best people creating art today. I have the enormous privilege tonight of having been invited to speak to you for a few minutes on a subject of my choosing. Anything you want, they said. Now, last year, I had the pleasure of receiving a similar prompt, and I used my time on stage at the Nebula Awards to discuss courage and principle, and the way those two ideas taken in tandem can help us change the world. So tonight, I want to talk to you about my favorite hammer. It's a great hammer. It's about 14 inches long, a wooden handle. The head of the hammer is attached to the haft by a nail, which I like to imagine means that someone used a hammer to make my hammer. I think it's really beautiful to be able to see the origins of a tool. My hammer is pretty dinged up. It's scratched and dented, and the wood is scuffed and paint smeared in places, and there's a piece of tape on it that I didn't put there, and I don't know how it got there, and I can't really get it off. It bears the signs of use, which makes sense because I get a lot of use out of it. I use it to break things that need to be broken. I use it to fix things that can be fixed. I use it to build new things, to make things beautiful, and to make things safe. My hammer is very valuable to me because I use it. Now, if I had purchased my hammer and then brought it home and put it in my toolbox and put that toolbox in the closet on that shelf that I can't reach because I'm 5 feet tall and left it there untouched, if I didn't use my hammer to make my home a safer, more welcoming place for the friends and family and children and elders and criminals and complete strangers who come to visit me in my home, my hammer would be completely fucking worthless. We spent a lot of time this weekend talking about the purpose of literature. And we have spent a lot of time talking about how important it is for literature to confer hope onto the reader. But hope is a hammer. It is only valuable if you do something with it. If we write with the sole purpose of giving people hope, then we are writing ads for hammers. Which is not strictly a failure. Okay, there's nothing wrong with inspiring people to buy hammers. People need hammers. But why do we want people to buy hammers? Why does it matter so much to us that we keep talking about it over and over again? Why do we want readers to experience hope and compassion for others and love for their communities? What is our goal? Are we here to provide comfort to the inert? Are we here to reassure people that experiencing a positive emotion is the end of their work? Do our stories exist to pacify an audience that is on the verge of taking action by telling them, don't worry, you've already done enough? Or are we here to inspire people to use their hammers to break and fix and build? I've heard some people say that without hope, change is impossible. That is an outright lie. The truth is that the people whose work you most admire have done that work even in the total absence of hope. The truth is that in the weeks and months and years to come, you will feel hopelessness. You will feel fear. You will feel despair. It's tempting to push those emotions away because they're not celebrated the way hope is. It's tempting to try and find a way around those feelings, to consider them obstacles. But to do so is to ignore every tool that isn't a hammer. Hopelessness can be an alarm bell, signaling you to connection and action. Fear can be information. Ignoring it means dismissing your recognition of a threat. Despair can give you the gift of focus. It can tell you where you are most called to show up to the hard, relentless, constant work of creating change. Once we have accepted that hope is not the only emotion we can work with, we can also start to remember that emotion is an experience, not an action. You can let your emotions move you to action. You can decide to work toward making the thing you hope for into a reality. But you are also powerful enough to act on your principles, even when they oppose your emotions. You can act with compassion, even when you feel disgust. You can act with courage, even when you feel deep fear. You can act as if there is a tomorrow worth protecting, even when your deepest, most secret heart is convinced that there is no hope to be found. The beautiful thing about being in community with others is that if your hammer breaks, if you lose it, if you never got one in the first place and don't know where to find one, you can still build new things and make things beautiful and make things safe. You can borrow someone else's hammer for a while, or you can use the tools you have and let other people wield the ones they brought. You can make tools for others to use, and you can teach them how to use those tools. You can make the decision right now to be part of the community that's doing the work you hope will get done. You can take first responder training and legal observer training and de-escalation training. You can observe and record state violence to provide evidence that will protect those who are being targeted by authoritarianism. You can walk into courtrooms to represent and support those who are being labeled criminals and treated as less than human. You can call your representatives and political leaders and show up at their offices and interrupt them at dinner to demand that they do their jobs. You can attend city council meetings and school board meetings and run for local office. You can paint protest signs and distribute flyers and educate people about their legal rights and their human rights, and educate people about what protective equipment to wear to protest so they don't die in the fight alongside you. You can donate to legal aid funds and bail funds and mental health support hotlines like Trans Lifeline. You can loudly and consistently condemn genocide and support those who are risking their lives to deliver supplies to people who need them. You can join organizations like Authors Against Book Bans to fight book banning legislation on local, state, and federal levels. You can push for legal protections for marginalized people, and if you live here in the Bay like me, we can drive our asses to Dublin to protest the reopening of FCI as an ICE detention center. We will write and read and reach out to each other and feed each other and help each other rest and tend to each other's wounds at the end of the day, because inertia is a choice. Even when that inertia includes emotions we didn't choose or emotions we think of as action. There are so many other choices you can make instead. There are so many ways to get to work. There are people in this room tonight who already engage in constant, exhausting, courageous action, even when their emotions are telling them to run and hide and give up. And there are people in this room who are going to wake up tomorrow and decide to take action for the first time. Both of you are building a better world. And you're going to be doing it together. And I'm going to be right there with you, regardless of what we feel, regardless of what we hope others might feel. We will all be united in the work. We will be doing it all together in all our hope and all our fear and all our compassion and all our despair. Because today is a great day to go out and buy your first hammer. And it's an even better day to start using it. Now I get to stay up here and celebrate some people who are doing the work. I get to present the Locus Award for Best Short Story. It's a category that's close to my heart, and it's a category that includes risk takers, hard workers, courageous thinkers. And tonight, the finalists are...
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Short Story are The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clarke, Autumn's Red Bird by Elliot Dubedard, 5 Views of the Planet Tartarus by Rachel K. Jones, Parthenogenesis by Stephen Graham Jones, Why Don't We Just Kill the Kid in the Omelas Hole by Isabel J. Kim, The Vampire by P.H. Lee, 3 Faces of a Beheading by Arkady Martin, The Nightbirds by Premi Mohammed, Stitched to Skin Like Family Is by Nevo, We Will Teach You How to Read, We Will Teach You How to Read by Carolyn M. Yoakum.
And the winner of the Locus Award for Best Short Story is Why Don't We Just Kill the Kid in the Omelas Hole by Isabel J. Kim.
I am honored to be the recipient of this year's Locus Award for Best Short Story. Thank you to Neil Clark and Clark's World for publishing Why Don't We Just Kill the Kid in the Omelas Hole, and thank you to everyone who voted for me. It's very cool to be accepting this award and to know that there are a lot of people in the science fiction and fantasy community for whom the story resonated. And while I'm grateful for the recognition my story has received, I hope it also encourages people to try and build a better world, one where my story is less reflection and more pure thought experiment. And thank you to Ursula K. Le Guin for writing The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas for obvious reasons. And thank you all again. We're going with this take.
Oh, she is short. And now to present the Locus Award for Best Novelette, author and musician Harry Lian.
Hi, everybody. I'm Henry Lian. I'm not singing tonight. I'm presenting the Locus Award for Best Novelette. The average studio album runs about 45 minutes. The average novelette takes about 45 minutes to read. Thus, Kate Bush's The Hounds of Love and Ted Chiang's The Tower of Babylon occupy about the same amount of time. And I don't think this is an accident. The word novelette is an anagram for love tenant. This amount of time is long enough to represent a deep exploration of the creator's love for this material, but it's short enough to be as simple yet expansive as a tenet. The finalists are
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Novelette are A Stranger Knocks by Tananarive Due, I'm Not Disappointed, Just Mad, aka The Heaviest Couch in the Known Universe by Daryl Gregory, The River Judge by S.L. Huang, Reduce, Reuse, Recycle by T.J. Klune, The Four Sisters Overlooking the Sea by Naomi Kritzer, Another Girl Under the Iron Bell by Angela Liu, By Salt, by Sea, by Light of Stars by Premi Muhammad, Encore by Wole Talabi, Joanna's Bodies by Ivinia Trantafilu, Loneliness Universe by Ivinia Trantafilu.
I don't remember the others. Are we going to acknowledge the others? Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. The winner of the Locus Award for Best Novelette is By Salt, by Sea, by Light of Stars by Premi Muhammad.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank the Locus staff and organizers for making this award possible, as well as all my readers and voters. I would also, of course, like to thank the wonderful Strange Horizons staff, especially my very, very patient editor, Hebe Stanton, for allowing this story to be part of the fundraising issue for 2024. Strange Horizons is doing really essential work, I feel, in the speculative fiction space, you know, with essays and opinions and reviews and fiction and poetry. You know, support them on their yearly fundraising is all I can say. And it's funny because I actually had an R&R at a different venue for this story, and I had to write back literally, I'm sorry, I am too tired and burnt out to actually do what you're asking here, so I guess I will have to withdraw. And I was so sad, but it found its best home, I think. Like Varian and Kane, who were somehow exactly where they belonged. Thank you.
Congratulations, Premi.
And now to present the Locus Award for Best Novella is our local featured author, Keme Ashling Giwa.
Hello. Hello, hi, I'm Kemi. So excited to be here. And I'm presenting the Locus Award for Best Novella. And the finalists are...
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Novella are Navigational Entanglements by Eliette Duboudard, What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher, Mislaid in Parts Half Known by Shauna Maguire, The Butcher of the Forest by Premi Muhammad, The Tusks of Extinction by Ray Naylor, She Who Knows by Nettie Okorafor, Countess by Susan Palumbo, Haunt Sweet Home by Sarah Pinsker, The Practice, The Horizon, and The Chain by Sophia Samatar, The Brides of High Hill by Nevo.
All right, and the winner of the Locus Award for Best Novella is What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher.
Obviously, I'm not T. Kingfisher, but my hat sort of is. And I have some words from T. Kingfisher. Hello, everyone. I am currently in Oslo, but I promise that when I wake up, I will be extremely honored. Thank you so much to everyone at Tor, my agent, my husband, my readers, and whoever is reading this speech, despite knowing what my speeches are like and that they may be required to tell you all horrible animal facts. I can't wait to tell you horrible animal facts. So today's horrible animal fact is that three-toed sloths only go to the bathroom about once a week. It's the only time they climb down from the trees if they can help it. They will slowly descend, dig a small hole, and according to sloth rescue organizations, quote, look skyward and close their eyes. There are, in fact, whole species of insects that live in sloth fur, feeding on various species of algae that only grow on sloths, which wait for this opportunity because they lay their eggs in sloth dung. Now, if you only go to the toilet once a week, obviously you have to have, well, let us say, a large holding capacity. And in fact, a sloth's digestive tract can hold up to 2/3 of its body weight, which means that at any given time, a sloth is literally full of crap. I will leave comparisons to specific individuals or politicians as an exercise for the audience. Anyway, thank you all. It is really fantastic that so many people thought my weird little book deserved a Locus Award. Have a wonderful evening.
And now, to present the Locus Award for Best First Novel is Locus board member and author Isabeau Willis, this time in a different hat.
Sorry about that. My hat and I got slightly confused. Let's see, where's my piece of paper? I am here to present the award for the Locus Award for Best First Novel. Oh, the first novel, when the author is a sweet summer child full of hope and joy and enthusiasm. Long may that last. They say you never forget the first time. And so the award nominees are
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best First Novel are The Ministry of Time by Colleen Bradley, The Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wastelands by Sarah Brooks, Sargassa by Sophie Burnham, Lady Eve's Last Con by Rebecca Framo, The Book of Love by Kelly Link, The West Passage by Jared Pekacek, The Spice Gate by Prashant Srivutsa, Womb City by Tlotlo Tsamase, Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell, Hamajang Luck by Makana Yamamoto.
And the award goes to Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell.
Hello, everyone in Locust Land. Thank you for this surprising honor. I've never won Best First Novel before, and I have it on good authority that I'm not allowed to do it again. But never tell me the odds, because we write stories of clones and time travel and paradoxes. If anyone can win Best First Novel twice, somebody's probably already done it. We just don't know who. I want to thank every one of the voters, but also I want to thank my fellow first novel finalists for being my debut siblings and letting me be in your company as our stories emerge into the world. It has truly been a privilege to write and storytell alongside you. I adore your work, and it's just been a thrill to be in your company. My little novel, Someone You Could Build a Nest In, is a novel about companionship, about thinking you'll always be alone, and then the miracle of finding someone who understands you, who loves you not despite how weird you are, but because of how weird you are. And this novel would never have been written if not for the support of the found family that I have been blessed by. Vanessa McKittrick and Bev Fox, who beta read this very book you enjoyed. Nat Silva and Nicholas Sabin, who have always dropped everything when I was in need. The badass librarian Cass Williams and everyone at the long table. Kelly Allen and Jane Briers for hours of late night gaming goodness. Meg Frank and Will Frank, who emergency watched so many episodes of Ted Lasso as I tried to keep it together as I was finishing this book. Marissa Lincoln and Lee Wallace, who are just like finding siblings out in the wild. Felt like I've been raised with them, but I've only known them for a few years. That's just the wonder of who they are. And Alex Haste and Devin Singer, who are just the absolute best people you could ever be stuck in a car with for 1,000 miles. I can't wait to do it again. Thank you to all the readers who found my book. And thank you to my family for finding me. Good night.
And now to present the Locus Award for Best Young Adult Novel is author Maggie Takuda Hall.
Hello. I'm so honored to be here. I love announcing finalists for things, and RuPaul still hasn't called me to announce the finalists on Drag Race, so this was like a pretty good second choice. The finalists for the Best Young Adult Novel are...
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Young Adult Novel are Sleep Like Death by Kaylin Barron, Blood Justice by Terry J. Benton Walker, Rest in Peaches by Alex Brown, Fall of the Iron Gods by Olivia Chada, The Feastmakers by H.A. Clark, A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal, The Maid and the Crocodile by Jordan Ifueko, Moonstorm by Yoon Ha Lee, Shena Lende by Darcy Little Badger, Compound Fracture by Andrew Joseph White.
And the winner of the Locus Award for Best Young Adult Novel goes to Yoon Ha Lee, author of Moonstorm. And he couldn't be here today, so he wrote a small speech that I have in front of me. I hope that I can muster the enthusiasm of its opening correctly. Howdy. I'm truly honored for Moonstorm to be recognized by the Locus Awards. I'd like to thank my ever-patient editor, Hannah Hill, and the folks at Delacorte Press, my agent, Seth Fishman, all the beta readers and cheerleaders who helped me get this to the finish line. And finally, my husband, Joe, for introducing me to Battletech and giant robot anime when we were dating in college. Take care and use your giant robots responsibly. Thank you, Yoon.
And now, to present the Locus Award for Best Horror Novel is the newest member of the Locus editorial crew, Eleanor Trumbla.
Hi everyone, I'm Eleanor Trumbla. I'm the newest editorial assistant here. Presenting the Horror Genre Award, and horror means a lot to me as a woman, as an artist, and I think it has been largely overlooked for some time. There was a gap, but I feel like we're circling back around. And so I'm very excited to announce the finalists for Best Horror Novel.
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Horror Novel are Cuckoo by Gretchen Felker Martin, House of Bone and Rain by Gabino Iglesias, The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones, Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman, The Wilding by Ian MacDonald, Forgotten Sisters by Cynthia Pelayo, Model Home by Rivers Solomon, Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle, Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay, The Underhistory by Karen Warren.
Okay, the Locus Award for Best Horror Novel is Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle.
Hey Buckaroos, Chuck Tingle here. Thank you so much for the Locus Award. I am blown away, deeply moved, and I cannot thank you enough. I appreciate it so much. I just want to say that, science fiction, fantasy, horror, what an incredible space that Locus has been such an important part of creating. And it's a space where someone with a presentation as unusual as my own could not only be nominated for an award, but win. So deeply moving to me, and I am blown away. Thank you so much. Love is real. You have proven it to me today, and I look forward to proving it with you in the future. All right, Buckaroos, let's trot.
All right. Hi, I'm Gail Garriger, and I'm presenting the award, the Locus Award for Best Fantasy Novel. I think many of us probably started with fantasy. It was certainly the first thing that drew me into genre fiction, and I'm truly honored and delighted to get to present this today. And without further ado, the finalists for Best Fantasy Novel are...
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Fantasy Novel are I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle, The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, The Dead Cat Tail Assassins by P. Jelly Clark, The Bright Sword by Liv Grossman, Asunder by Kirsten Hall, A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher, Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune, The Siege of Burning Grass by Premi Mohammed, Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan, The City in Glass by Nevo.
And the winner of the Locus Award for Best Fantasy is A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher, published by Titan UK. I believe the hat is returning.
Hello again, everyone. The hat is back. I'm extremely honored, not to mention surprised. I would like to thank all the same people, especially the poor presenter who just took you on a tour of sloth digestion, which was my pleasure. So your novel, Horrible Animal Fact today is about the oldest mammal on Earth. It's not a whale or an elephant or a human. It is, in fact, a dog, sort of. The canine transmissible venereal tumor arose, as far as we know, about 6,000 years ago. It is one of 3 known transmissible tumors. The other 2 affect Tasmanian devils and hamsters. Unlike all the other tumors in the world, which arise from the host's own cells, these are separate organisms with their own DNA. Taxonomists like to fight about whether CTVT should even be called a tumor, or if it's really more like a parasite, in which case it would technically be an immortal, single-celled dog that reproduces asexually. Taxonomists enjoy arguments like this, and it keeps them off the streets, so I feel that should be encouraged. Regardless, the CTVT is genetically a dog and is furthermore a 6,000-year-old dog from North America who had some coyote genes. And leaving everything else aside, isn't it cool that we know that? Some scientists said, why does this dog have a weird lump on its junk? And 100 years later, we sequenced it and say, hey, that weird lump is older than the pyramids. It's sort of fashionable to be very down on humans for all the destruction we've wrought as a species, but I have to believe that as long as we are a species which is curious about just how deeply weird stuff there is, there's hope for us. Do you see dolphins out there sequencing obscure canine venereal diseases? I don't think so. Score 1 for humanity. Let me apologize again for the presenter who has to read this. No apologies necessary. Anyway, thank you, my fellow humans, and I hope you go out and follow your curiosity to whatever weird places it takes you. Thank you all, and have a wonderful night.
And now, to present the award for Best Science Fiction Novel is Locus Editor-in-Chief Liza Tromby.
I know, it's me again, but we made it. This is the last one. I'm not even going to say anything about it. We all love science fiction novels, so let's find out who the finalists are.
The finalists for the Locus Award for Best Science Fiction Novel are The Man Who Saw Seconds by Alexander Boldazar, Rake's Fall by Vajra Chandrasekhara, The Mercy of Gods by James S.A. Corey, The Bezel by Cory Doctorow, The Imposition of Unnecessary Obstacles by Malka Older, Kinning by Nisi Shaw, Alien Clay by Adrian Tchaikovsky, Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky, Space Oddity by Catherine M. Valente, Absolution by Jeff Vandermeer.
What a fabulous creative list that is. And the winner for the 2025 Locus Award for Best Science Fiction Novel is The Man Who Saw Seconds by Alexander Boldazar.
I really didn't expect this, to the point of I having no speech prepared at all. So I'll have to poach a little bit from my reading last night, where I talked about when I was 14, sneak reading Locus magazine from the bookstore, because I didn't have the money to buy the magazines. Sorry about that. I mean, do you see the list? Those people are all on my bookshelves. Like, it's kind of surreal to, I mean, it was surreal to have just been on the list in the first place. So this is really amazing. I want to thank Clash, my publisher, especially because they let me keep that science chapter in the middle, where any normal publisher would have said, you got to take that out. But I thought science fiction needs a science. I want to thank Emma for coming with me on my entire book tour, which are exhausting, but it was a lot less exhausting with her. I mentioned the science. The fiction part, the one thing I want to say is that even the best movie in the world, you're seeing characters from the outside. And the thing that makes fiction magical to me is that you enter people from the inside and you see the internal motivations across a range of diversity, identity, worldview, ideology, and that ability to see people from the inside, see their own internal logic and perspectives is something that I think all of society needs. So I won't wax on about that. I'll just say, again, thank you. This is the honor of a lifetime, and I'm really grateful. Thank you. Thank you all.
The quick way off the stage, right? Where am I? I have like so many pages here. Here we go. So that's it. We did it, 2025, right? I want to say a couple of thank yous as we close this all up. Thank you to all the crew and volunteers who put so much hard work and heart into this. To the people, I mean, you guys are amazing, but the guests of honor who made this experience so much more exciting just by being here, Tochi Onyebuchi and Sarah Gailey. To our fabulous featured local author, Kemi Ashingiwa, and featured local artist, Stephanie Law, for coming and doing readings and displaying art. It was amazing to have you here. We have some sponsors, the Henderson Family Foundation, the Craig Newmark Philanthropies, and some friends of Locus who gave a little extra this year. Bradford Lau, Tom Clegg, Colette Carrier-Clegg, Jacob, I'm breaking down now, it's all over. Okay, here we go. Jacob Plavanik and Aaron Kinnikin, thank you so much. And to all the publishers who donate books for our book bags, Rena Weissman and Jacob Weissman for coming out with the books for us, and Tachyon Publications. Everybody at Chapter 510, we're running a youth workshop tomorrow taught by Henry Lien, which the local community group Chapter 510 is partnering with us. Isis Asari from Sista Sci-Fi, Preservation Park, all you guys, it's been great. Thank you so much. And one more round of applause, please, for our wonderful MC who charmed us through the entire evening, Gail Garriger.
I am not Gail Garriger, but I'm horning in.
She's gonna wear a Gail hat for a moment.
No, I could never wear, I'm not cool enough to wear Gail's hat. So as you know, I'm Isabel Wilson. I'm on the Locus Board of Directors. And I just want to shout out to Liza because she keeps the ship going. We have a lot of wonderful volunteers. We have wonderful supporters, wonderful editors, writers. We have a super cute dog who for some reason is not here, but I feel should be. But it's Liza in the end that keeps us going. It is Liza who holds our hands and gets us to print. And literally there would be no more Locus without Liza. Liza is a good friend of mine, and so I spend a lot of time with her, and she literally works almost 24 hours a day. There is never a time when she is not thinking about Locus. Even when she is sitting at a soccer game or a volleyball game, she is thinking about Locus. So I just want to acknowledge that on behalf of the board of directors, and I would love it if we could get another big round of applause and maybe a couple of Liza, 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 Liza.
Okay, we gotta get Gail
Okay,
back here.
and now we bring you Gail.
Okay, that's it. We did it. We've handed out some trophies and applauded until our hands are tingled and yelled a bit and honored some of the genre's best nerdy brilliance. To our winners, congratulations. You created something unforgettable. To our finalists, you dazzled us. And to our readers and voters, beloved Chaos Gremlins, thank you for championing the wild, the weird, and the wonderful. Now, go forth, read more books, write your own, good night, and please be kind to yourselves and to somebody else, too.